I be like, sheesh, sunset on the beach. Make me wanna pull up on Miami with the heat. I don't know about you.
All right, welcome back to the Anytime Sports Podcast Show. We got Riley back here today along with Andrew. We're going to head into some Week 7 NFL action for you. Starting off with that Thursday night football game, we had the Rams beating the Vikings, Rams coming off their bye in that one 30-20. Big story in that one, Puka Nacua comes back in the game, has a massive week, and Cooper Kupp also returns, catching a touchdown pass. What were your thoughts on the Rams, and do you think they can make a run like they did last year?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, especially that, like, I bet you a lot of these, at least I, when I picked it, I was like, oh, Rams aren't going to do much, and then it's like, oh, Puka's back, oh, Kupp is back, oh, this Rams team is back, so you can't count them out yet. And they're in a division where they're 3-4 right now. They're in a division where it's a little tricky. You got the Cardinals, who are around the same record. You got the Seahawks. You got the Niners, who are iffy. So if you're going to start making a run and start winning, that time's got to be now. They play the Seahawks this week, Miami, New England, Philly. So these are some winnable games. You're sitting at last in the division right now, but everybody's tied for first technically with a 4-4 record, while the Rams are at 3-4. And Riley, I'll ask you, as my camera glitches, what would you say the Rams, like Colin was saying, what would you say? Do you think the Rams are back? Do you think, or just what are your general thoughts on that?
Well, first off, this is how a team should look off the bye. Comparing that to the Bears, where they were off a bye, it's just a difference of how vast the coaching staffs are.
It's like Sean McVay's a good coach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, almost like that's what happens when you have good coaching.
Yeah, the Rams coming up their next couple matchups. They play Seattle this weekend, and they go to Dolphins, which now they got Tua back, and the Patriots are up after that. So they got a couple winnable games they could have going into it. It's going to be tough. Their defense is getting better and better with each and every week, though. It's a very young defense coming in, but we'll see who ends up winning this one. Big story in this one towards the end of the game, the missed face mask call at the end of the game that could have extended the drive for the Minnesota Vikings. But Minnesota, coming off of a short week, you kind of expected them to lose this one, especially when you got the Rams and all their receivers coming back. Matthew Stafford was not going to lose that game at home. So I don't really put much into that Minnesota loss. They still looked decent in this game. I wouldn't put it past them. They're going to be back, and they're going to be good, and I think they'll be a playoff team as well. Let's go into famous Jameis Winston eats a W against a flying high Baltimore team. They win that game 29-24. Cleveland wins that one. What were your thoughts on Jameis's return?
Do you think it's a coincidence the Browns start winning the second Deshaun Watson's out? Like, it's like, this is like the Chargers. The Chargers aren't that bad of a team. They were 4-2 going into this game. The Browns were 1-6. It's not like it was a bad game. And Jameis Winston, obviously, I think he won Offensive Player of the Week, and rightfully so. Riley, I'll ask you this: are the Browns back just because they have Jameis, or are they? They're probably too far in the hole. But what would you say?
I wouldn't say they're back. I think it just shows how talented they have players still on the roster, because they have a solid defense, and they just took advantage of a Ravens team that has a habit of playing down in competition.
Yeah.
And I'll ask you guys this question. Is this more of just the Browns having a great game, or do we put some question marks over this Baltimore team after this loss that you should have probably won against a quarterback that hasn't played in a while?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's an interesting situation. I was looking at that. I thought they would beat the Chargers. That's this week. Okay, they beat the Ravens, which is a bigger win too, especially with the team he played. But yeah, it's an interesting situation, especially with Jameis back, because he can get it to those guys. Let me see his stat line here. 27 for 41, 334 with 3 touchdowns. Absolutely phenomenal performance for his first start in a while. Riley, you wanna bounce off that?
Yeah, I think that just the Browns took advantage, because the Ravens, they start out flat, and this was a big game for the Browns. Interdivision over a big rival. I don't know how. I doubt they'll make the playoffs, but if they want to have a chance, this is a good start.
I think you're right, Riley, with that one. I think they're too far out of the playoffs. But Cedric Tillman having himself a game. He had 9 targets, caught 7 of those for 99 yards. He's kind of a second-year guy looking to break out. Didn't have a role much when Amari Cooper was there. But now that Amari Cooper's out, he's really developing into a nice wide receiver. We know Elijah Moore, very, very talented wide receiver. Never has got the production. He ends up getting some production in this game, 8 receptions, 85 yards. He was kind of the slot guy in this one. Of course, Jerry Jeudy gets his load as well. He gets 5 receptions, 79 yards in this one. Baltimore, they just couldn't get anything going in the run game, really. I mean, let's be honest. They couldn't. Cleveland did a great job at stopping the run, and people were like, hand the ball off to Derrick Henry. Well, it's hard when you're stuffing him every single play. I mean, Derrick Henry, 11 carries, 73 yards in this game. Not the Derrick. I mean, he averaged 6.6 yards, but not really what you think of a great Derrick Henry game, as we'll get to. He leads the league in rushing yards right now with 900 and something rushing yards. But credit this Cleveland defense for the run very well. Let's head into another game here. Let's go to Detroit overpowering Tennessee, winning this one 52-14. Seems like Detroit's blowing out everyone these days. What were your thoughts on that Detroit game?
Yeah, absolute blowout. It's another thing for the Titans. It just shows how much more in the hole they are. Because the Lions, you want to compete. 52-14 shouldn't. That's a college score. That's not. Rarely NFL games go that high, and especially, I mean, the Lions are the number 1 team in the league right now. Especially the Titans situation. You're starting Mason Rudolph. You're not even starting Will Levis.
Will Levis is supposed to be back this week, so hopefully he gets in. Maybe they get a little bit of boost, but you don't know how much of a boost they'll get in this one. Definitely Tennessee's outmatched in this one. Definitely a dominating performance by Detroit. Jared Goff, 12 of 15 for 85 yards and 3 touchdowns. That is, you can't get more efficient than that. Only throwing the ball 15 times a game and 3 touchdown passes. That's very efficient.
It's
Riley, let me get your thoughts on this. This Detroit running game, they're able to run it at ease, it seems like. How are they able to do this?
Well, with that dominating O-line and, good coaching compared to other teams in the division, this is how coaching should look like. They knew the running game was worked, and they kept going over and over, and the Titans couldn't stop it.
Yeah, that's what you want, too. Especially, this is dangerous because you got Amon-Ra. He didn't even have a great game. He only had 7 yards. Laporta had the most receiving, but they just hammered the ground in this one. Hammered it.
David Montgomery get the touchdown throw in this one to Sam Laporta. He caught that ball for a touchdown. So it seems like Detroit's throwing all the trick plays up there. Ben Johnson having a day himself. Let's go to Washington. Wins a thriller, leaving the Bears fans wondering what happened this week, as they ended up taking the lead late in the fourth to end up blowing it on such a botched Hail Mary play. The Washington Commanders ended up winning this one 18-15. Andrew, I know you've had a lot of animated thoughts about this Bears team during this game. You were texting the group chat. You wouldn't shut up about how bad the Bears were playing.
Yeah.
What can the Bears do? They were coming off of a bye. What happened?
It's so tough because if the Bears played like they did in the fourth quarter, in the whole second half, honestly, that's a playoff team. That's a team you want to see. It just comes down to coaching, though. Like we were talking, we have a clip that's like terrible. I videoed us reacting to the Hail Mary because I thought we were going to react to a win. And it's so bad because the play before, it was like a 13-yard pass to Terry McLaurin to get them into field goal range. Then Eberflus goes on to say, oh, the play before didn't matter. And then he goes to say, we saw like Tyreek Stevenson hyping up the crowd, and he's the one who's tipped the ball up. And then Eberflus goes and blames the players for that. And especially, like we were talking, they should have done who was that did it? The Lions? What a Hail Mary? Or was it the 3 on the outside?
Oh, that was the Texans.
The Texans on a Hail Mary. What you should do, rush 3 on the outside. We don't need to have a spy. I get Jaden Daniels will run, but he has so much field ahead of him. And you don't need to have 3 guys here. You do what the Texans did. They put everyone on the left side so you could squeak around. It's so frustrating. Bad coaching leads to terrible losses because this one was a rough one. The Bears looked like they had it in the bag. They weren't in this game. They were in this game, but they didn't play like they were in this game at all. The fact that they were still in it means a lot, but at the same time, the Commanders didn't score a single touchdown until the very last play of the game, which is a rough situation. Colin, I'll ask you. I know you have some strong opinions on the coaching staff of the Bears. You want Eberflus gone.
We got a whole segment on Eberflus, so I'm not going to focus much on Eberflus. I'm just going to say with 12 seconds left in the game, the win probability for the Chicago Bears was 96.3%. And how you go from 12 seconds to absolutely losing the game. Obviously, Chicago did not deserve to win this one, if we are all going to be honest. They did not deserve it. They ended up getting that touchdown late to put them over top and allowing Jane Daniels to have to drive the ball downfield. Overall, Chicago was a terribly coached team, and I think the Commanders were 10 times better coached, even though it didn't show it much on the scoreboard. The Bears defense just held them to only 18 points. It's surprising with Jane Daniels throwing for over 300 yards that the score wasn't like 50 to 0 or something. It seemed like that type of game. This team just looked very bad for the Bears. I think you can't look at this and get a great positive out of it. I mean, you can say DeAndre Swift's a good positive. He didn't really break out anything till the late 50-yard run that he had or something like that. Receivers did nothing this game. Your leading receiver was Rome Odunze, 3 receptions, 41 yards. This Commanders team is very, very good right now, and I think you got to give them their credit. It was a great last play for them. Obviously, this might be a momentum builder for that team. They lead their division right now 6-2. It was a much-needed win for them. And Chicago falls to 4th place in their division right now in 4-3. And in the Matt Eberflus era, he has finished last in the division in each of his years. It is not looking good if you're Matt Eberflus waking up Monday morning after that game thinking, wow, that it leaves a sour taste in your mouth. But we'll talk about the Bears later. But let's go into another team that was struggling a little bit and needed a win, didn't end up getting it. Dallas ended up losing against San Francisco 30-24. And I guess you could also say San Francisco needed a win in that game. What were your thoughts on San Francisco-Dallas?
Yeah, I didn't watch this game, obviously. Well, we got I raged and then I shut the TV off and I wasn't going to watch football for the rest of the day. But from what it seems is Dak didn't have a bad performance. If you take away his 2 interceptions, obviously. 25 for 38, 243 yards, and 2 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb, 2 touchdown receptions. Yeah, it's interesting. And for the 49ers, too, they put up 21 points in the third quarter, and that's the production you want to see. But it's like they're a injury banged up team. George Kittle's been in and out. Devo's been in and out. CMC hasn't played a single snap so far this year. And the fact that you're able to string together wins, but you're gonna need to string together more wins if you're gonna want to be the caliber team you were last year. Because they're 4-4 right now. That's not the spot you want to be, especially with the Rams picking it up, with the Seahawks picking it up. But it's an interesting situation, Riley. I want to ask you. I know you didn't watch the game either, but what were your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this Niners team, and how do you think the Cowboys are going to go forward?
This is a gritty win for the Niners because despite being beat up, they still need to get these type of wins just so they can still be in the hunt for that division. And then for the Cowboys, I think they lost opportunity. They got a win here, still be in the chance for that division title. I don't know anymore. They'll probably have to get a wild card spot. So it'll be interesting for how they'll perform later on in the season.
Yeah, exactly.
San Francisco definitely still in there for the divisional race. It's a 3-way tie for first place right now, so they're well in within range of striking distance of winning this division and being a playoff team as well. And they get a much-needed bye this week as they don't play anyone this week, so they'll rest up, and there may be a slight possibility that CMC can return, and CMC 49ers look very good in this. It's a very dangerous team if that happens. Jordan Mason ended up exiting this game early. He only had 6 carries, 18 yards. Isaiah Guerendo We had 14 carries, 85 yards. He looked very explosive in this one. Yet another running back that the 49ers seem to pull out of thin air, who ends up putting production up on the board. Brock Purdy in this one, having a decent game, 18 to 26 or 260 yards and a touchdown. He did just enough to get San Francisco the win, and I think it was a much-needed win for San Francisco. And I think it's the lack of run game for the Dallas Cowboys. We'll talk about it. We have some quotes from Jerry Jones this week that we're going to go over. We'll talk about it more there, but let's move on to our last game. We are going to recap. Arizona beats the Fins into his return 28-27. What are your thoughts? Kyler Murray threw over 300 yards in this game. What are your thoughts on Arizona?
Yeah, this is a very close game, and especially we should be getting an interesting game with Arizona going into Chicago being at Arizona this week. Both teams have been spotty so far this year, but like I've said countless times on this podcast, you get the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr., you're going to win ball games. 6 receptions, 111 yards, and a touchdown. They got the ball to Trey McBride, too, 124 yards with a long of 37. You're going to be able to throw the ball. And then James Conner also had himself 20 carries for 53 yards and a touchdown. You're going to spread the ball out. You're going to win ball games. As simple as that. As for Miami, Tua came back. Didn't have a terrible game, 234 yards and a touchdown. Achane had 10 carries, 97 yards, and Tyreek had 6 receptions, 72 yards. They really, ever since Tua's injury, Tyreek hasn't gone off like he thought he has. And Colin, I'll ask you, what do you think out of these two teams here? Obviously, the Dolphins are a little farther back than the Cardinals. Who do you think has a better chance of making a run? Do you think Arizona can win out their division, or do you think Miami has a chance with their weak division there?
I think Arizona has the record. They're all tied with their division, so they have the highest chance of getting it right now. Arizona is 7th in pass blocking, and they are, let me get their rush. They're even better in rush. They're 2nd ranked in rush blocking. They're doing very well on the offensive line side of things. Of course, James Conner doesn't show you the stats in this one. He had 20 carries for 53 yards, but still, normally he's very, very productive. Trey McBride in this one, he had himself a game. You mentioned Marvin Harrison himself. Michael Wilson caught a touchdown pass as well. So, very good game for the Cardinals. Kyler Murray seems to have these spurts, and I'm glad he's doing it more often than he's done in previous seasons. But yeah, Tua coming into this one, he's got to knock off some rust. But Devon Achane looked great in this game. Tyreek Hill was back. I mean, he didn't have an amazing performance, but he still has had better than he has had in past weeks. They need more from Jalen Waddle. That's for sure. I mean, only catching 4 balls for 45 yards. A player of his caliber should not be doing that. He should be at a higher level in this one. But, Tua, another week, he's healthy. He's got to be thinking that he's healthy. So I think Arizona is going to be the team out of the two that I think will have a better shot of making the playoffs right now, because I think Buffalo has got that division up on lock.
Yeah, exactly. We need to be more of a ball hawk, if you know what I mean. Riley, what would you say on Tua? Do you think he needs to spread the ball out more? We had this game on in the background. What would you say on the current situation of the Dolphins?
I would say try to get Tyreek Hill in rhythm, because when they were good, Tyreek was performing at his best, and so I think they need to try to get him in rhythm. But I don't know now with them being out of the playoff spot. I don't think they can make the playoffs. Do you look to trade Tyreek? I don't know the likely chance of that, because how big his contract is and how good of a player he is. But it'll be interesting to see what they do for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I don't think they trade Tyreek right now. I don't think that's really the option. I think they're all in right now. They got to start winning some more games. Obviously, their division is kind of wide open for second place, but first place you could see, I mean, they're too many games back. Buffalo's 6-2 right now. Miami's 2-5. It's rough. They need to win a lot of games. They need the Jets to lose a couple as well. Jets ended up getting a win last night. We'll go over that game as well. But right now, let's head into some stats. So we have not gone into stats this year. We're gonna go over some leading. Who's the leader in each category right now? Starting off with Geno Smith. Geno Smith is the leader in passing yards right now, 2,197 yards, followed by Baker Mayfield and C.J. Stroud. I think C.J. Stroud's up there because of the other guys haven't played a game this week. So as you got C.J. Stroud and Aaron Rodgers up there as well. But how about Geno Smith and how about Baker Mayfield this year? Geno's leading the league in passing yards.
Yeah, he's always been known to be a passing quarterback. He's always been up there since he went off a couple of years ago. He's been up there with the passing leaders, and it really helps when you have a guy like, I know DK's been a little banged up, but when you have a guy and you have receivers to throw to. Same thing with Baker whenever Mike Evans is healthy, and it'll be interesting to see if he keeps that up, because especially with Godwin out for the season, especially with Evans being banged up, it'll be interesting to see if he can still spread the ball out, because Baker has really proven himself as of lately.
Super interesting to see that Geno Smith leading the league in passing, yet only has 8 touchdown throws compared to Baker Mayfield's 21 touchdown throws right now. That's absolutely insane. I know they like to run the ball when they get close. Seattle does, but that's just insane to think about. He's got eight TDs, 7 interceptions. But let's go into rushing leaders. And right now, Derrick Henry leads the league by a large margin right now. He had 946 rushing yards on 145 attempts, 9 TDs. He's got 11 rushes of over 20 yards, 3 of over 40, and a long of 87 on the season. He doesn't look like he's too old to play running back in the NFL. What are your thoughts on Derrick Henry defying time and still running 80 yards downfield?
Yeah, there's no way he's slowing down. He's such a beast. But at the same time, it's interesting to see. I was looking here, Jordan Mason. He's been out a couple games. He's been banged up. He's still 3rd place on this list. So imagine CMC had been healthy this year. Imagine he got the workload that Jordan Mason had. Imagine he got free. He would have probably been competing with Derrick Henry or taking that top spot. But the top 2, Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry, really don't surprise me. The one person that does surprise me on this list is J.K. Dobbins, still sticking it out. He's a little farther down, but he's ahead of guys like Kyron Williams, Alvin Kamara, Breece Hall. And after all his injuries with the Ravens, and then he's going to get his...
he's 2 yards in front of Kyron Williams. We got to make that as a quotation mark. He's in front of Kyron Williams.
Still above Kyron.
I'll give you Alvin Kamara. That's like over 30-plus yards. I'll give you that one. But over Kyron Williams, 2 yards, could have been a stat correction.
Yeah, exactly.
J.K. Dobbins, as you were talking about, he's had a great year, kind of a comeback year. He is definitely in the running for comeback player of the year, dealing with so many injuries the past couple of years in Baltimore, coming over a clean slate into Harbaugh's new run-first offense, which they haven't recently been doing great in the run, really. They've had to throw the ball more, which they're showing more versatility, the Chargers are. I like them, even though they've lost a couple. I think they won this past weekend, if I remember. But yeah, Derrick Henry's doing really well in the leading the league in rushing. Let's go to leading receiver in the most receptions. Right now is Garrett Wilson's got 60 of them.
Probably because
Brock Bowers got 52 receptions as a rookie. He's very impressive this season. He's probably the best tight end, I'd say, this year. Brock Bowers, 52 receptions, 535 yards, and a touchdown. Riley, what are your thoughts on the young rookie in this offense that seems to not have a solid quarterback?
Yeah, I think that's extremely impressive without consistent quarterback play. It just shows to his talent and how much faith the coaching staff in Las Vegas has in Brock Bowers. It's quite impressive for him.
Yeah, I would back off that. I would say that's interesting, but also what's interesting is 2 of these guys in the top 10 on this list are out for the season. Stephon Diggs out for the season. That's a terrible loss for the Texans, especially after you went out and got him. He has 47 receptions, and Chris Godwin, who hasn't played for even like a couple weeks now, he's still up in third place.
The more you give it to that guy, the more that gets a chance to hurt. Definitely, the receptions definitely are there, and people do get hurt like that. But the leading in yards right now, Jamar Chase leads the league in yards with 674 yards. Garrett Wilson then follows with 663, and Justin Jefferson with 646. No surprise with the top three there, all dogs in their given teams and position right now. Jamar Chase having a great season, but it doesn't seem like the Bengals are having the best season. We'll talk about them later on. Let's go into our fumble leaders. Why don't we? A forced fumble, Fred Warner leads the league, tied with TJ Watt with 4 apiece. Those two guys are absolutely amazing in their positions right now. Fred Warner, all-pro linebacker. Same with TJ Watt with his edge rushing ability. When is TJ Watt going to win a Defensive Player of the Year? He keeps getting snubbed every single year. Is this his year to win a Defensive Player of the Year, Andrew?
Maybe. I think it'll be. Because who else is he going to go against? I mean, you're really going to go against DBs, and then maybe even Fred Warner or Myles Garrett really isn't as good as he's been in the past. So I think this might be his year, especially if he.
You want to tell that to Myles Garrett's face?
No.
Here, I'll get you a first-class ticket to Cleveland. You can go out straight to the facility and say, Myles Garrett, you're not really good anymore. You're kind of washed.
It was just how.
Say that directly to his face.
Yeah.
His bicep probably bigger than your head.
Exactly. Dude. All right. Sorry, Myles.
He's a great player. He's just not having a great season, as you were saying. You're absolutely right with that one. Objectively right with that one. Right now, leader in sacks right now is Zaire Franklin, Roquan Smith, and Jermaine Pratt, the top three in that one. Zaire Franklin with 86 total tackles. Who is the sack leader? Let's go into sack. It is Dexter Lawrence with 9 sacks.
Oh, wow.
He's having himself an absolute game. And in the top 4 right now, Aiden Hutchinson's still there with 7.5 sacks. That shows how amazing the start of the season he was having. And then we'll go through our interception leaders right now. Xavier McKinney has got 6 interceptions right now. That's insane. I didn't realize he had that many. Kirby Joseph, of course, we've known he's had a lot, and so is Brian Branch, both guys who are on the Lions right now. It shows you how good this Lions defense is. We think about their offense a lot, but how about this Lions defense? Can they hold their weight when the offense isn't pulling their weight?
Yeah, I think it's obviously really easy to win when you have a well-rounded team. And especially that the Lions are having the year they had. It just sucks that you had Aiden Hutchinson out, because this defense would have been insane. It still is insane, but with him in there and the way they've been playing and the way their record is now, it would have been insane. But yeah, like Kirby Joseph and Branch both on top. That's huge for them. Riley, I want to ask you. You can go.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to ask you. How far do you think this team can go? How far do you think the Lions can go? Do you think there is a stopping point for them, or do you think they can go all the way? They're ranked number 1 now, and for a reason, obviously.
It'll be interesting. I can't give a definite answer now, but once they hit division play later on during these last couple of weeks, it'll be a definite answer. But with the way they play against the Titans, it was encouraging. Like, if you think they have a chance to go to the Super Bowl, that's an encouraging start.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think that wraps up our stats right now. Let's head into some NFL news. Big news coming out of Baltimore as they send a 5th-round pick in exchange for Deontay Johnson, and they get a 6th-round pick in return. What are your thoughts on Deontay Johnson to Baltimore?
Yeah, I think it's a great trade, because we were talking about a couple weeks ago on ASP that they needed a quarterback, or not, they needed another wide receiver. They
need a quarterback. They only got 2 running backs.
Yeah.
They got Lamar and they got Derrick Henry. They only got 2 running backs. You can't run a Wildcat the whole time. They need a quarterback.
You can run a Wildcat.
That's why you need a trade. You need to send a 1st-round pick to Houston. Go get Davis Mills and go win yourself a Super Bowl right there.
Still a Davis Mills.
Love me some Davis Mills.
Yeah, but I think it's great for them to go out and get him, because you have Zay Flowers, and then really nobody else, and then you have adding them in, you have Mark Andrews and Likely, and then you had Deontay Johnson in there. That's another guy for Lamar to throw to, because Deontay Johnson he hasn't been like a standout wide receiver in his career. He's been here and there, but he's shown up when he's needed to. And if you're getting the Ravens, you want to go out and get this cheap guy that can give you more targets. That's huge for them.
Reports are coming out of camp that Deontay Johnson is going to be the wide receiver 3 behind Zay Flowers and Rashawn Bateman. Interesting surprise in that one. Would have thought he would slide into that wide receiver 2 role, but right now it doesn't look like that. He was returning punts in practice, which is never a great sign when you're returning punts in practice. It doesn't seem like he's going to get the volume he did get at Carolina, but maybe he's going to get a ring out of it. Who knows? We don't know how far this team's going to go. I honestly don't really like the move, to be honest. You're really a running team, and your problems are really in the secondary. Mm-hmm. They're not a wide receiver. So I don't think this really helps your team unless he could gain 200 pounds, play defensive line, or he can play cornerback. I think your problems are still there if you're Baltimore, because obviously their pass defense has been very bad this season. But Riley, I'm going to swing it back to you. And what do you think about this Deontay Johnson trade?
I don't know. I really like this for the Ravens because even though it doesn't address a big need, they basically like traded down 10 spots and got potentially a pretty good wide receiver, good for their depth. And so they didn't lose anything. They didn't risk a lot. And so this is just a chance just to get a good player at receiver just to help Lamar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be. I could definitely see that happening. We're going to go more to Chicago news in this one. I'm going to ask this question. Has Matt Eberflus lost the locker room in Chicago? I have some quotes coming out of Chicago's camp. Cornerback Jalen Johnson was on the radio station, and he was saying how the Bears should have probably called a timeout before that Hail Mary play to better prepare for that play. Tight end Cole Kmet reports that there was a lapse in focus on the final play was a lesson to players about what happened when they don't respect the game. And he says there was issues at practice this week, people not really taking it seriously, thinking they're the big dogs when they haven't really won anything yet. You've won one game. You came off a good game in London, and you think you could take 2 weeks off. That doesn't seem like the greatest thing. Of course, Matt Eberflus met with the captains this week. A lot of opinionated veterans on this team. What are your thoughts? Has Matt Eberflus lost his locker room?
Hopefully not, because whenever the locker room goes in shambles, the team goes in shambles. The Bears aren't out of it yet. As long as they get their stuff together, as long as Eberflus gets his stuff together, and as long as Waldron decides to run an offense, maybe, I don't know, this division's just so tough. And especially with the locker room the way it is.
You had an opportunity to hire Cliff Kingsbury, who, guess what, was the Washington Commanders offensive coordinator.
Yep.
Not like you'd want to hire Cliff Kingsbury. It's not like he's got a lot of experience being in the NFL. Oh, and he's got a lot of experience with Caleb Williams, the first-round draft pick quarterback that you picked up this year. Put 2 and 2 together.
Literally.
Why don't you call Cliff Kingsbury and say, hey, I need you to come to Chicago. We got Caleb Williams. It's not like he wouldn't say no to that offer. This is ridiculous. Instead, we pick up Shane Waldron.
Yeah.
Who Seattle fans were happy to see him go.
Yeah.
When the opposing team that you poach away from is happy to see them go, there's a problem. There's a problem. Oh, you can't really see me. My computers went dark. They're kind of my backlighting in this one. But it's like if Lions fans would say, "Oh yeah, I'm so glad Ben Johnson's going to be a head coach next year." They're poaching him away from somebody. Oh, I'm so happy. No, they're going to be sad. The fact you should have saw red flags when Jackson Smith and Jigba was asked this past offseason, what do you think of Shane Waldron? What is Chicago getting with Shane Waldron? And he said, good luck. Good luck.
Yeah.
Don't start me with Matt Eberflus. Don't start me with this coaching staff. Don't start me with this GM. I'm going to turn it to you, Riley, before I get too frustrated.
Yeah. Yeah, this isn't looking good for Matt Eberflus. Like, last year, he had a really, really strong case for him getting fired. Because what stood out to me were the 3 games versus the first one being the Broncos with a blown lead, the Lions with a blown lead, and with the Browns with a blown lead. Those should have been the signs to let him go and then start with your first-round QB and head coach on the same page. Now, with questions up with Matt Eberflus, if he's going to stay after this year, if you fire him, you're going to have a QB in his second year with a new head coach. He's going to relearn a new playbook. He'll be at a disadvantage, and it'll just like starts the cycle over again with like how it starts with.
What does that remind you of, Riley? What does that remind you of?
Yeah, Justin Fields, Matt Nagy, and then Mitch Trubisky.
Go back even more.
Yeah, Mitch
John
Trubisky.
Fox and Mitchell Trubisky.
Mm-hmm.
Cycle repeats itself.
Yes.
Circle of life.
Yes.
Recycle. You know,
frustrating.
It repeats itself. It's very, very, very frustrating.
Because
it doesn't look good this week going against Arizona. Yet the Bears have not lost playing in Arizona. They're 3-0. Matt Eberflus 0-17 on true road games played on a Sunday afternoon. He's 0-17 on the road.
Yeah.
Away in a true Sunday game. This is not including prime time. 0-17.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. I want to take over for a second. It is ridiculous because you need to win these road games, especially with your young guys on the team. And it sucks because for next year, like we were saying, you got your rookie quarterback, and it sucks, but I wouldn't want him to. But it's the amount of potential that the Bears waste. Like Justin Fields, we saw when he was with the Steelers and a different coaching staff. He played good. Bears wasted his potential. Absolutely awful.
There's a reason why he got benched.
Yeah.
There's a reason why if he was playing great, he wasn't.
Yeah.
I think that was just Justin Fields. He played decently. He played about the same he did in Chicago, a little bit better maybe in Pittsburgh. That's at least what I think. But I don't know on that one.
Roquan
Do you
Smith.
think? I think it was a mistake not firing Eberflus and hiring a coach that wanted to coach for Chicago, a former player of the Chicago Bears. Mr. Jim Harbaugh was a free agent head coach heading into this season. Just humor my thought process here.
Yeah,
Does this remind you of something? The Bears, the one time they won a Super Bowl, they had a quote-unquote hothead head coach, right? Mike Ditka. Who else is a hothead? Harbaugh. Harbaugh's a hothead. They both love to win and hate to lose. Why are we going with a guy like Matt Eberflus that looks like you could take him on a golf trip and he'd be like jolly to talk around? Your dad's like he's not the guy. He's not a guy. Harbaugh likes winning above everything else, and it's just it seems like that was a no-brainer sense. I'd rather have Jim Harbaugh, way better coach than Matt Eberflus, and I think we'd be in a whole different situation if it was John Harbaugh.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense because you're setting yourself back. You're not only getting a new quarterback, you're not only getting a new offensive coordinator, you're getting a new defensive coordinator. Why not just get rid of your head coach while you're at it? Why not start all over again? You got him. Now, like Riley said, if you're going to get a new head coach next year, Caleb's going to have to learn that system. And then say Waldron goes, he's going to have to learn his system. He's going to have all these new guys around him just to start back at square one once again when you could have started developing them this year. And it's just frustrating because all this talent on these Bears teams, basically our entire lives, have been ruined by coaching. It's just been a cycle of coaches, in and out, cycle of GMs, in and out, cycle of this team, in and out.
I wouldn't be surprised if in December we see Matt Eberflus fired. Gone. I don't think the team respects him anymore. That's the problem. I think they're like, this is the most talented group. They're looking around, they're seeing a lot of talent, a lot of guys who are still in their prime and doing good. It just doesn't seem like these coaches know what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, it's not like the Bears have the worst offensive line. What I hear is from people is like, oh, well, Caleb doesn't have an offensive line. Caleb doesn't have an offensive line. Yet the Bears have a top 20 offensive line right now. Yet that's not great. That's not great.
Yeah.
But it's not the worst. They're not 30. They're not in the late 20s to 30 range.
Yeah.
They have a decent offensive line. They're actually pretty good at run blocking. So they're doing decent. It's just it's frustrating being a Bears fan right now. Let's go to another frustrated franchise right now in the Cincinnati Bengals. They ended up losing a game against Philadelphia last weekend. What do? They're 3-5 now. They have two talented wide receivers in T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. They got a really talented franchise quarterback, Joe Burrow. They got some guys on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, but they just can't seem to put it together.
Yeah, it's a tough situation for them too, considering they have all this talent. I think it just kind of stems down to because their running game hasn't been terrible too, which is the thing. It kind of just stems down to the team not playing up to par and the defense not complementing the offense, because they got the talent, like you were saying. Chase Brown is literally the guy that they've been going to. He had 32 yards in their last game. And I guess it just comes down to talent or outside of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, because Gesicki is their tight end, and then you got Jermaine Burton and then Zach Moss. But there's really not much around them, and they just can't get anything to click. Ever since that year that they went to the Super Bowl, they haven't had anything click since then. And they held that.
New faces on the defensive side. Lose Bates, big loss. Guys aren't stepping up. It's hard with that team right now.
They have the talent too. And Riley, I want to ask you, what do you think it comes down to?
Yeah, I think they just can't consistently play well on all phases of the team. Like offense and defense, they're not consistently good when at the same time. Like the offense will play good, but the defense won't play good, and then vice versa. So I think they need to work on playing good consistently on all phases of the field.
Yeah, and that's what it takes to win games.
Is Zach Taylor on the hot seat? Because we've seen these slow starts from the Bengals before. If they don't turn it around, really, and make an actual run at the playoffs, which is going to be hard to do in the division right now, do you see them moving on from Zach Taylor after he brought him to the Super Bowl? Right now, Cincinnati is 3-5. Baltimore is ahead of them, and so is Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh 6-2. Baltimore at 5-3 right now. Do you think there's a shot that Zach Taylor could get fired after this season?
Really?
It will be interesting to see. I know their ownership is notoriously known for being cheap. But if they play really, really bad, will they fire Zach Taylor? It just depends on if they're willing to eat that contract. If they barely miss the playoffs, I think they'll keep him. But if they continue to play horrible, I think you have no choice but to fire him.
Yeah, I would agree too, because there's just so much talent that you have now. Before these guys get older, before you have to extend them even more, before you waste all this talent, you need to do something, and that comes down to the coaching staff. Same thing we talk about with Chicago.
It's hard. It's another wasted year for the Bengals, I think. Joe Burrow in his prime, Jamar Chase in his prime. You're going to need to pay Jamar Chase soon, so it's not like your cap situation is going to get any better right now. They really need some help on the defensive side of the ball. They didn't address it this past offseason. They lost a couple guys, and they lost guys like Joe Mixon, who are going on to play great for the Texans right now. He had a great Thursday Night Football game yesterday. But yeah, let's head into some Jerry Jones quotes. We get these quotes every once in a while, and it is very interesting. He said it's rougher. It is rougher, and I did not anticipate the challenges that we're having with this team. He said, but I am reminded of teams that I've seen had a lot of success and put themselves in position to take a shot, and they were 3-4. I think those are two separate teams, Jerry. I look at this Dallas team, and I think, gosh, this running game is terrible. What were you thinking?
Yeah.
I don't know what to do from here. You pay Dak Prescott a bunch of money, make him the highest paid quarterback, and yet he's not worth it.
Yeah.
Dude, is it time for Dallas to cut their losses and trade him away or move on from him.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know, because they need to win games, and whether that's getting rid of Dak Prescott, whether that's putting in Trey Lance, giving him a shot, seeing if he can lead this team. Because Trey Lance is still young. I didn't realize how young he is. I think he's 24, 25. He's still young. A lot younger than Michael Penix.
But if you think Trey Lance was an option, he's been on the team for a couple years now. I don't think he is. I don't think he is the option right now.
Yeah.
Riley, what are your thoughts on this Dallas Cowboys team that seems to be a train wreck that Jerry Jones thinks he could fix just by saying he could fix it?
Well, I would think they would get rid of Mike McCarthy first before they do anything with Dak, especially with how big his contract will be. If they release him or trade him, they'll be I think $100 million back in the cap. So I think they would fire Mike McCarthy. I think they should have done that last offseason. But now it'll be interesting to see how the rest of their season goes.
Riley, you are Jerry Jones right now. You are Jerry Jones. You just fired Mike McCarthy. This next in the future, you fired him after the season's over. He had a terrible season. You only won 3 games. Who are you hiring to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys?
It will be interesting because everyone will say Ben Johnson, but he's liking where he's known for being really picky with his jobs, and I don't know if you'll want to go to the Cowboys because you think he would like this situation they're in right now. So it will be interesting. At the top of my head, I can't think of anyone. Maybe as an outlier, maybe the Lions DC with how well they've been playing well, but they have a lot of talented players. So I can't think of anyone at the top of my head.
You don't think Bill Belichick brings his 20-something-year-old girlfriend down to Dallas and coaches the Dallas Cowboys right now? I saw something. I don't know if you guys saw the same thing I saw, but I saw Bill Belichick dressing up and taking pictures with his girlfriend on Halloween.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the age gap is just too big. Too big.
Literally, and he's Bill Belichick.
It's ridiculous.
He's Bill freaking Belichick too. I don't think he'd come out of retirement. He's chilling now. I think
he wants to coach. He's getting that itch. He's getting the itch. He's getting it. He's getting it. He's getting the itch. I think he wants to come back and coach. Where does he coach? Dallas makes a perfect chance. Does he go to the Bears? Are the Bears going to get Bill Belichick? The Patriot way. The Patriot way coming to Chicago? You don't like that?
That just reminds me of when Tony La Russa went to the White Sox. I don't need another gargoyle coaching my team again.
Gargoyle. Yeah, it's an interesting situation, and it'd be interesting for us to follow.
So you wouldn't sign on if Bill Belichick is the head coach of the Bears. He calls Saban in, and Saban's like, okay, I'll be the DC of the Bears. You're saying don't bring the band back together with that?
I would do it in that case, yeah. I would do it in that
because
case.
You get 2 of them.
Yeah.
You get 2 of them.
It's a package deal.
Package deal. You have to get both of them. If you don't get both of them, it's a no-go.
That would be insane, though. You get Saban and
but the stipulation is he has to leave the girlfriend back in New England or something like that.
I don't know if
that's a stipulation.
Yeah, I don't know if he.
I don't know if he could do it.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know.
All right.
Yeah, I think we'll go back to Dallas.
Yeah.
I think Ben Johnson. I think Jerry writes a blank check and he just becomes the highest paid head coach. I honestly think that's the case and what's going to happen. As I'm blacked out again, that's kind of funny. My computer screen, I keep forgetting to touch my computer screen because it's my backlighting, and it happens sometimes. We're not perfect in this one, but I think we went over some of the things we needed to go over for some of the teams we wanted to go over. Let's rapid fire pick Week 9. I think we got some time here. What are we on for recording?
We're on 48 right now, so we're good.
We're on 48. Oh, we got some time. Let's go over the Thursday night football game that we had yesterday. Houston ends up losing against the Jets 21-13. Aaron Rodgers throws for 211 yards, a beautiful touchdown throw to Devontae Adams to ice this game, and Garrett Wilson makes his one-handed grab. I'm gonna ask you this question: was that a touchdown? Was that a grab by Garrett Wilson? There's angles that it
Yeah.
seemed like that wasn't a grab.
I don't know. I didn't watch the game, but I saw the highlights. It's like it was his knee and his shin that got in. I've never seen. It's such a rare instance for it to be like a knee and a shin. It's always like a knee and an elbow, a knee and a knee. But a knee and a shin is rare, and it was interesting because almost like NFL resorts to taking the call on the field if there's not enough evidence to prove that it was or wasn't a catch. And I'm not sure what they ruled it on the field as, probably a touchdown, but it could have been down to one of those cases. But yeah, this could be the turning point the Jets needed to. They are 3-6 and they are pretty far back. But if you start winning games now, then here you go. But I want to ask you, Colin, and I'll ask you the same thing, Riley. What does this mean for the Texans? They don't have Stephon Diggs anymore. Tank Dell's the number one guy. He went off this game.
Texans are frauds.
Yeah.
They're frauds. I mean, they don't have another wide receiver besides Tank Dell.
Yeah.
I mean, watching this game, it was frustrating to see, but they don't have an offensive line as well. Their offensive line is one of the worst in the NFL. The biggest pressure rate by a quarterback right now is on C.J. Stroud. He's getting the ball out pretty well, but he has nobody blocking for him. They're all taking penalties. They're all doing very bad stuff, putting him behind the stick. C.J. Stroud 11 for 30. 11 for 30. It's crazy for 191 yards. It's insane. It's not sustainable. I mean, Joe Mixon in this one had himself a game. 24 carries, 106 yards, and one touchdown. Let's talk about Joe Mixon for a second. What a career resurgence. He hasn't had this in a while. It seems like a change of scenery was the best option for Joe Mixon in this one. What are your thoughts on Joe Mixon in the season he's having?
Yeah, it's been quite impressive so far. I'm just wondering how sustainable it will be because he's getting a lot of touches, and that could be hard for a running back to stay healthy because, with last year, CMC, he had a lot of big workload, and he got a lot of hits, and so far this year he hasn't played. So I wonder, especially with Stephon Diggs, I'm guessing the Texans will go to Joe Mixon a lot. I wonder how much longer, how healthy he'll be in the future.
That's true. That's one thing to note is the injury, as the Texans will try to regroup and they play the Lions next week. So not an easy matchup in that one. So they're going to have to prepare as the Jets prepare for the Arizona Cardinals the next week after that. Seems like they got Devontae going a little bit better than they have in games past. Garrett Wilson was a monster in this game. Watching the game, it just seems like he was 10 times. He was the best wide receiver on the field. He was the best player on the field. Absolutely was. 9 receptions, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. He played amazing in this game. But yeah, I think that's the Thursday night football game of week number 9. Let's go into picking week number 9 games. Starting with Dallas at Atlanta. We don't have to really rapid fire this one. We're just going to pick games. Dallas at Atlanta. Who do you have in this one?
I think I'm going to take Atlanta. I just don't like the Cowboys situation. I think Kirk Cousins is going to keep it rolling. Drake London's going to get the ball. Mooney's going to keep doing good. I think the Falcons are going to take this one. Riley?
Yeah, I got the Falcons in this. I didn't like how the Cowboys played last game. And I think it's just two teams on separate trajectories. The Falcons are going up, the Cowboys are going down. So I see ATL with a win here.
Dallas Cowboys 3-1 in away games. They're playing absolutely amazing right now at away. Atlanta Falcons 2-3 at home. I think this is a trap game. Give me the Dallas Cowboys in this one. I think they'll get something going because Jerry Jones is just going to pay off the refs.
Yeah.
So let's go to another game, Miami at Buffalo. I think this one's pretty easy for all of us, but I'm going to kick it off with you, Andrew.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bills. Not much to say about this. The Bills are just lights out. Riley?
Yeah, I agree with you. The way the Bills have been playing, yeah, I got them.
I'm going to take the Bills in this one as well. It's a home game in Buffalo. It's going to be a nice game, actually. 57 degrees out. You'd think maybe in November it might be a little bit cold. But Yeah, there's a couple questionable guys coming into this one. Amari Cooper's questionable with a wrist injury. That's a big one to watch. If he doesn't play, definitely hinders the passing attack. He hasn't really got going, so hopefully he plays and gets going for Josh Allen. They didn't need him in last game as James Cook had an amazing game last week. Let me check his stats because I know he went absolutely ham. Yeah, he he did go ham. He went 17 carries for 111 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was absolutely lights out in that game last week. I'll take Buffalo in that one. How about let's move to Las Vegas at Cincinnati in this one. Cincinnati looking to rebound. Vegas also looking to rebound after a loss.
I think the Bengals will take it. The Raiders did put up a great fight against the Chiefs, though, which could make this game a lot closer than a lot of people are thinking. But I think the Bengals they have the better team compared to the Raiders and more established system, and I think that's going to give them the win. Right.
I think I have the Bengals winning this one. They're in a corner. They're desperate for a win, so I see the Bengals with a win.
I mean, you're right, Andrew. The Raiders have put up a good fight the past 2 weeks. They've been within 7 points of the win. So they've been playing decent. They're not a shove-over team like, say, the Carolina Panthers are right now. But Cincinnati always disappoints. They always disappoint. They're 0-4 at home this year. They have not won a home game this year. Yet, Vegas is 1-3 away. Give me Cincinnati in this one. They're going to get their first home win of the season. Let's go to Los Angeles Chargers at Cleveland. Is Jameis going to throw 3 touchdown passes or is he going to throw 3 interceptions?
Yeah, I feel like this game's going to be a lot closer than many people are thinking. And just for that reason and just for the way Jameis played last week, I'm going to take the Browns here. Riley?
I have the Chargers winning this one. The reason the Browns played so well was against a rival and with a new QB that helped with them. I have the Chargers winning this one.
Jameis takes a step back. He's going to throw a couple interceptions in this one. I think Chargers defense is better than the Ravens defense as of right now. I think the Chargers end up winning this game as well.
Yeah, let's move on to the next one. We got Titans and Patriots. Colin, I'll ask you first. Both these teams absolute sleepers.
Gosh, you ask me first when it's 2 terrible teams and I got to actually think about this?
There you go.
This is the snooze fest of the week. Who's going to be watching this game?
Yeah.
Yikes. I'm in Tennessee right now, and I don't think anyone in Tennessee is looking forward to watch this game at all. I think it's the Vols on Saturday, and we could skip Sunday because they don't matter. But yikes. These are 2 atrocious teams right now.
Yeah.
I don't even want to pick this game. I say tie. Tie. First ever tie this year. We're going to get a tie. 3-3.
Okay. We'll remember it.
Yikes. I'm going tie. Okay, what are you guys going?
I'm gonna say the
refuse to pick it.
I'm gonna say the Titans. I think it's gonna be a shootout. It could be either way. This game's gonna suck, but I think the Titans will just squeeze out the win just because of the home atmosphere.
Yeah, this is a matchup of a stoppable object versus a movable object. So I have the Titans winning because the Patriots are coming back from London, and I think the Titans will be more adjusted, and so they'll get the win.
Yeah, it's like the meme of 2 trash cans rolling down the road. That's what these 2 teams are right now.
Literally.
Yeah. If I had to pick one, I guess I'd pick New England, but I'm picking tie because for the memes, we're picking tie for this one.
And just watch us
next game.
Yeah. Watch us be here next week, and this is actually a tie.
If it's a tie, I'm showing up in a crown. I'm buying myself a crown and a cape, and I am the king if that happens.
We'll quote it
for next week. Washington at New York in this one. Who do you have winning this game?
I hate to say it, but I think Washington, based on the way that Bears game ended. It's some personal beef with Washington. Nothing against them. They're a good team, and I think they're going to beat the Giants. Really?
Yeah, I see Washington winning this, coming off a high against that incredible victory for them against the Bears. And the Giants did have played well in the past. It's been too inconsistent. So I see the Commanders with a win.
New York wins this one. Coming off of a high, as you guys were talking about Washington this week, maybe they get a little lapse in judgment and look over the Giants. I think Daniel Jones has been playing decent recently, not great. And let's be honest, he's not playing great, but he's playing okay football. The real reason why I'm picking the Giants to this one, Tyrone Tracy, I think, is going to have a massive game like he had last week. He needs to have a massive game. He cleared concussion protocol, so he's playing in this one. Brian Robinson is questionable out in this game for Washington Commanders, so it might be another Austin Eckler show. Don't know the extent of his injury. But I'm going to pick New York in this one. Go against the grain, and New York's going to get the first win at home. They're 0-4 at home right now.
Colin,
so that'll be interesting.
Since you're the king of picking the ties and stuff, I'm going to give you another sleeper game. You're going to get the Saints and Panthers.
I'd rather watch this game over.
Yeah.
Over. I got to fly in my room. I got to swat that. I don't even know how you got in.
You get the honor of picking with two teams that have 3 wins combined. So, who do you want?
Hey. I'm taking New Orleans in this one. Derek Carr coming back. Chris Olave is healthy. They have Alvin Kamara. He is healthy in this one. He's going to end up winning this one. Carolina trades away their best wide receiver. They still have Bryce Young under center. It's going to be New Orleans.
Yeah. Riley?
Yeah, I see New Orleans winning this one, especially with their getting healthy and against a terrible opponent. I see Saints winning easily.
Yeah, and with the Panthers losing Deontay Johnson, it's only going to get worse. Only these lower guys are going to step up. Maybe some of these rookies or younger guys will step up, but I think it's going to be the Saints as well.
Broncos at Baltimore. Who do you guys got in this one?
Yeah, this game will be a lot closer than people are thinking. And personally, I'm going to go, like Colin was saying, against the grain. And I'm going to take the Broncos here. I think the Ravens' loss against the Browns is really going to set them back. Derrick Henry didn't have the greatest game, but I
like
think
that pick.
I think that the Broncos would probably, for doing locks and steals this week, this would be my steal, and this would probably be my upset of the week. Riley?
That is, you do have an interesting case, but I think the Ravens will be motivated, especially with a terrible loss. They want to get a bounce back, and the Broncos will just be a victim of that.
Colin?
Just because Bo Nix fangirled over Lamar Jackson this week in interviews, I'm going to go with Baltimore in this one. I think Bo Nix is going to fangirl too much, and they're not going to end up winning this one. I think Derrick Henry gets rolling. I'm going to take a Baltimore in this one, heading to the next game, which is Jacksonville at Philadelphia. Another great game. Oh, whoever came up with these matchups this week deserves to get fired. This is ugly.
Yeah.
Not some good games this week. Yikes.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you got?
I'm going to take the Eagles just because how bad the Jaguars are. They're 0-4 in away. That's going to be 0-5 away. I don't know. Both these teams are pretty bad. Eagles' record doesn't really portray.
You don't believe in Dougie P? Dougie P, he's going to get those boys ready.
The revenge game for him.
You're going to get those boys ready.
Yeah.
Revenge game, you're right. Revenge game. Doug Peterson and a revenge game. Can you talk yourself into taking the Jags?
No.
They got Trevor Lawrence. He's got great hair. Great hair equals great wins.
No.
Right?
No.
Come on, Riley. You got to pick the Jags in this one, right?
As much as enticing it is, I have the Eagles win this. But it will be a close game, though.
You do it then.
No, I'm picking the Eagles. Any sane person would pick the Eagles right now.
Yeah.
Although the Eagles haven't looked great, like really good, they're still Eagles right now, and I think they got a more talented offense, and they're just a better coach team. Chicago at Arizona in this one. Who do you got?
Oh, I am not biased. Yeah, I am. But I'm going to take Bears are going to get their first away win. They, like you said, Matt Eberflus is 0-17 in Sunday away games, which is god-awful.
At noon and 3 p.m. games, yes.
Yeah. I think it's going to be I think they're going to bounce back. The only thing that's going to hurt them is benching Tyreek Stevenson. I get you did it for, you taunting this is your punishment for taunting the fans or whatever. But you're down Brisker. You're down possibly Gordon. You're down Tyreek Stevenson. That's your top 3 if you take away Jalen Johnson. That's your next 3 guys in the order, and the backfield's going to be hurting. But I think either it's going to go one or two ways. Bears are going to keep this game close and come out with the win, or Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to have a career game, and the Bears are going to get blown out.
Riley, what are your thoughts? Who do we got?
This will be an interesting game with the Bears having a depleted secondary. It'll be interesting to see how the Arizona offense will perform because Trey McBride and MHJ had great games last game. Will they continue that in this game? It'll be interesting, but I have the Bears squeaking out a win.
The real question is, are we getting high-flying Kyler Murray, or are we getting 3 in the M? I stayed up playing COD too late, Kyler Murray. That's the real question in this one. It's a toss-up for me. Kyler Murray has a good game, he has a bad game. Has a good game, has a bad game. This is a week where 2 weeks in a row where he gets things put together. I'm taking Arizona at home in this one. I think they're just flying too much, and I think there's too much of a dumpster fire in Chicago right now. Detroit at Green Bay, probably the game of the week. Holy crap, we kind of got a good game. The schedules makers, they did something right this time. Whoa, we got a divisional game. What do you got in this one?
I think the Lions. I think they're too good. They're gonna prove why they're the best team in the league. They're gonna beat the Packers and move to 7-1. I think they're just way too good. If they didn't have that one loss, I guarantee they'd be undefeated now. I'm gonna go undefeated for a couple of weeks, Riley.
This will be interesting because the winner of this game will be in first place, and it will be a great advantage having that into the playoffs. But I have the Packers winning this game by a little bit. I just like how they're coached, and yeah, I got the Packers.
Yeah, see what happens when you have a good coach team. Yeah,
this hurts for me to say. I can't even. I gotta cough it out.
Wearing the Bears shirt too.
I can't do it. I gotta go Detroit this one.
Yeah,
I can't.
Love to hear
it. My mind's telling me the cheese heads. I almost had a little regurgitation come up from that saying that, but no, it's so hard to choose. Both these teams coming in so good. I want to pick Green Bay. I think Green Bay is going to win, but my Bears fandom refuses me to pick Green Bay. Give me Detroit.
Let's go. All right, let's move on to the next one. This could be an interesting game. Both these teams kind of fighting for first place in the division. Not necessarily, but a very crucial game for both teams. Rams at Seahawks. This is a 3:25 game. This one's on Fox. Colin, who do you got in this one?
Puka Nacua tweaked his knee in practice after coming back from last week, and then he tweaked his knee in practice. He is questionable to start the game in Seattle this Sunday. Who knows? He might be good to go. Don't know yet. Seahawks are injured as well. I'm taking the Rams in this one because they still got Cooper Kupp and Kyron Williams and Matthew Stafford. Still great players right there. I'm going to take the Rams in this one.
Okay, that's fair, Riley.
This will be an interesting game, interdivision game, bloodbath division. I think the Seahawks squeaking out a win. It just depends on if Puka is healthy or not.
Yeah, mine will come down to two things: if Puka's healthy or if he's not, or if Kupp's healthy. Kupp will probably be. So I think if Puka's healthy, I'll take the Rams. If he's not, I'll take the Seahawks. But I'm gonna lock.
You can't do that. You can't do that. Lock in the team. We're locking it in Fridays. We don't lock it in game day.
I'm locking in the Rams.
That's cheaping. You're trying to cheat me out here.
You know, if the Rams win, I'll pick the Rams. If the Rams lose, I'll pick the Seahawks.
Wow, such a great analysis, such a great pick. Yeah. You should be in charge of all parlays and everything like that. Sunday Night Football. Jeez, who put the Colts on Sunday night? Yikes. I understand they need to at least be on one primetime game, but couldn't we put them on a meaningless Thursday night football game or something?
Yeah.
Like, got to be Sunday night? Yikes. No, actually, the Colts have been playing decent. They've got a decent squad. I say that with all due respect. They got a great defense right now. They're playing good. They benched Anthony Richardson. That's the big news. We didn't talk about that. Benching Anthony Richardson after a quarterback says, oh, I just subbed out because I was tired. I've never heard that of a quarterback. Never, ever heard that from a quarterback. What are your thoughts on the Anthony Richardson situation since we didn't talk about it?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm tired. Oh, put me out. Yeah, like you said, never heard of that. Let alone a second-year player. I get he's been banged up, but still, man, it's the NFL. Push through. My gosh, I think having Joe Flacco and gives the Colts a better shot to win. And I think what it was is the ownership was like, hey, we're not completely out of it yet. Our division sucks. And if we're going to want to go to the playoffs, Flacco's going to lead us there. We saw him with the Browns last year. We saw his resurgence, comeback player of the year. I think if the Colts are going to make it to the playoffs, it's going to be under Joe Flacco. Anthony Richardson will be good. He's just not quite there yet. But if I had to pick this game, I think for that exact reason, I'm going to pick the Colts. I think Joe Flacco is going to do good. I'll pick the underdogs here, and I'll pick the Colts. Riley?
This will be an interesting game with benching Anthony Richardson, going for the short term rather than the long term, because Anthony Richardson, he was only a 1-year starter in college and hasn't played a lot with his injury last year. So it's interesting that they go to Joe Flacco. They still think the division and the playoff spot is in play. So that's why I have the Colts winning.
Colin?
Clean sweep. I'm taking the Colts. I love the way Joe Flacco throws that football. Something about it gets me going. When an older quarterback drops back in the pocket, 3-step drop, dime, 50-yard downfield to Josh Dobbs this weekend, he's getting a touchdown. That's his name, right? Downs.
Downs.
Dobbs. Who cares? He got What'd you say?
Josh Dobbs is the quarterback.
He's the quarterback.
The bald quarterback.
He's
one elite quarterback to another elite quarterback.
Hey, man, who knows? Anything can happen. It's the NFL.
Yeah.
No, I totally butchered that. That was bad. I usually don't do that much often, but that was pretty bad. Hey, Josh Dobbs. If Josh Dobbs gets traded to the Colts before this game and catches a touchdown pass,
that's all right.
Yeah, that'd be absolutely insane. I'm taking the Colts in this one though. Yeah. Let's head to Monday night before I lose my mind after saying that butchering. Tampa Bay plays the Kansas City Chiefs and the refs in this one.
Yeah.
Who do you got?
It's just so frustrating because the Chiefs are probably the worst 7-0 team we've ever seen in our entire life. If I had to guess right now blindly, if I saw all these teams play and I saw a team and I would guess, hey, this team's going to be 7-0, it would be the Lions. I think the Lions will be 7-0 right now. Not the Chiefs. The Chiefs are so bad. And I think they're going to get their first loss this week.
I don't think they're that bad because they're 7-0. You can't say they're that bad. They're playing. Mahomes is playing. He's doing his best Jameis Winston impression. That's what he's doing right now. They're not playing great, but they're still winning. They're still winning. Who'd you pick again, Andrew?
I picked the Bucs.
Riley?
I have to pick the Chiefs. Even though they don't have the best stats to back it up, they just know how to win. They have the talent. They have the coaching. So that's why I have them in the win against the Bucs.
This game's in Arrowhead. Tampa Bay doesn't have their wide receivers. They got Kate Otten. That's it. I'm taking Kansas City in this one. I think the boys in the zebra-colored jerseys out there will have their back in this one.
Yeah.
Give me the refs by 50.
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah, it'll be an interesting
Teams on bye this week are the Pittsburgh Steelers and the San Francisco 49ers. I think this has been a great episode of the Anytime Sports Podcast Show, Week 9. Thank you again, Riley, for joining us. Always a blast to have you on. Andrew, want to sign it out for us?
Yes. Thank you guys for another great week of ASP. This one came out kind of late in the week, but we got it out. That's all that matters. Everyone have a great weekend of football. Hopefully your fantasy teams do great, unlike mine. And we'll see you guys next week.
See you guys.
Sunshine.